ahead.
United States Supreme Court.
Excuse me, United States Supreme Court. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's got to be the most intimidating thing. Like
you want something, and then all of a sudden you go, but wait a minute, Clarence Thomas is going to read my evidence. This is pretty cool.
That's very cool. You're in the official record for the rest of history.
That is extremely cool. Yes, very cool.
So let's.
Do you want an update before Lori joins the call? Do you want a little bit of an update of the case?
Yeah, let's go through. Let's start at the beginning here, because this is going to be, I believe this is the first time that we're going to be discussing this on Why We Vote. So give an overview of what your case is about, and how you got to the point where you're the one having to file this case.
So I'm not the filer of the case. That's Lori Toulis versus Morgan County and Brad Rathensberger. And she is a retired Army intelligence officer and very smart. And she did this pro se all the way through Superior Court, the Georgia Supreme Court. And the Georgia Supreme Court did not hear her mountains of evidence. She has mountains of evidence. And they gave Brad Rathensberger sovereign immunity. No elected official or employee of the state deserves sovereign immunity. That's reserved for the state. Lori did not sue the state. And if an elected official or an employee of the state does not follow their ministerial duties, they do not get sovereign immunity. So she filed a writ of certiorari in the United States Supreme Court.
Hold on 1 second. People in our chat are saying you're getting a lot of static in your audio.
Yeah, it's staticky for me too.
Okay. I can get my headset, but it's going to take me a second.
Okay, before you do that, can you do me a favor and you see where it says settings down there at the bottom?
Settings at the bottom. I have mute. Stop camera settings, yes.
Okay, click on the settings and go to the audio tab on the left.
I'm there.
Okay, which boxes do you have checked?
Echo cancellation and automatically adjust mic volume.
Okay, turn off the automatically adjust mic volume.
Okay.
And click the reduce mic background noise, so the top two ones are selected.
I'm trying to click on it, but it's not. It says browser not supported for background noise removal.
Okay. Well, just
I did turn off the other. Did it get better?
I don't.
It's a little better. It's still there's still a little bit of static when you talk.
Okay. I will get my headset while we're talking if we can. I will text to get my headset in another room. So where were we? So writ of certiorari. So Lori can speak to what her case entails, but the sovereign immunity piece is what she asked for the higher court to resolve. So they resolve conflicts in the lower case. What she's asking for is an injunction against the machines based on all the evidence she has, which will affect not only Georgia, but several other states. She's also asking for a federal grand jury against Brad Rathensberger. Now, where I come in is I filed with my buddy Helen Straw an amicus brief in evidentiary support of the writ. I can tell y'all still can't hear me very well.
Oh, we got you.
You
yeah,
good?
we can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I've been working for 3 years on exclusively Secretary of State files. And a lot of people talk about voter roll cleanup.
I know you're.
And what I've proven is, so I used to think that was a noble profession, and I did it for over a year. And I have challenges in the state of Georgia for voter roll cleanup. But the more you dig and the more you get smarter about how to combine Secretary of State files, you start seeing the criminal intent. So we go by the Georgia nerds And yes, we want to be called nerds. And our logo looks kind of like cat turd because we love cat turd. Could also be because we're chasing a rat. But anyway, we have a group of people that have multiple servers in multiple states and multiple backups. And we do not give out the names of a lot of the nerds on purpose. And we have over 10 years of voter roll data and over 60 voter roll files. And then we have several other types of files from the Secretary of State that we combine together. And that's when you find the fraud. So when you look at a voter roll, which is a snapshot in time in Georgia, a snapshot in time of the entire database, you find things like, yeah, they moved to Florida, or they're voting from a P.O. box, or that's what I used to do. But when you look comparatively over time, it gets ugly.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you'd like me to share a little bit about the evidence that we presented, I'd be glad to.
I would. Before.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead. Good.
So I was hoping you could back up a little bit. So I read Supreme Court order today.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, we gotta get your headphones because we're hearing ourselves through your speakers.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm gonna put you on mute for just a second.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll have to get that because I can hear myself coming through, and I don't know why it's so staticky.
Well, why don't we talk about our incredible sponsor of this show?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Our incredible sponsor of this episode of Why We Vote Everybody is Goldco. Are you concerned about the $6 trillion at stake in the upcoming 2024 election? The Wall Street Journal has reported a critical issue, the looming decision on extending tax cuts scheduled to expire after 2025. Republicans advocate for extending Trump's tax cuts while the Democrats lean towards letting them expire and increasing taxes on top earners and corporations, potentially creating a massive $6 trillion gap. But fear not, there's a way to protect yourself from this impending threat. Join the thousands of hardworking Americans who are taking proactive steps to safeguard their savings. Visit badlandsgold.com to claim your free 2024 gold and silver kit and fortify everything you've worked for. You may even qualify for up to 10% back in bonus silver, but hurry, supplies are limited. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Act now to diversify and shield your savings against the uncertainties ahead. Get your free 2024 gold and silver kit today at badlandsgold.com and take control of your financial destiny. And do us a favor, everybody, and please hit the thumb. If you haven't hit it already, please smash it. Tomorrow's my birthday. Smash it for my birthday. But also smash it because this is an awesome show and you love us and you want to support us.
All right. Kim, you are muted now. I had to mute you during that because we had some feedback. But if you unmute yourself, we should be able to hear you. Maybe.
Okay. Are we doing a lot better? I have my earbuds on. No.
It sounds like there might be two mics picking up sound, or that there are. Do you have speaker playing that plays all of us while we're talking?
No, I'm listening to you through my earbuds.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like it's.
I'm sorry.
Staticky. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Hi, Lori.
Hi. How
Nice
is everybody?
To see you.
Good to see you.
Good. We're a little tech challenged trying to figure out the sound issue, but other than that, we're doing good.
Oh, I was tech challenged because I had to swap my browser and then change my settings and then restart my phone. Holy crap, it was terrible.
Oh, no worries. Actually, that's something, Kim, you could join on your phone if you want to. The audio might be better if you join on your phone.
Well, remember in the settings, it said not supported with this browser. So let me do the link in a different browser.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's what I had to do was change browsers.
Okay.
All right.
So the question I was going to ask before we cut to break was, I read an order, which I thought was from the Supreme Court, and I don't have it pulled up, but that was about the immunity issue, affirming the lower court decisions. How does that play into where you guys are now?
An order from, when was that?
Yeah, pull it
Are you
up.
talking about for the Georgia Supreme Court?
Yeah, hold for processing.
Yeah,
Lori, if you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, I just kind of jumped right into it there.
Oh, no, that's okay. I actually moved to Georgia about 4 years ago, a little more than 4 years ago. And obviously then, the 2020 was the first election I got to vote in. So then there were issues in the 2020 election. We all knew that. But then there was a plethora of lawsuits that had already been filed. So I was in a wait and see mode at that point. Then in 2022, when we had the primaries and all of the issues happened in DeKalb County commissioner race with Michelle Long Spears, which was the only real hand count of original cast ballots that has ever been done in Georgia.
It was the Georgia Supreme Court, by the way.
Yeah, the Georgia Supreme Court. Right. So the Georgia Supreme Court did uphold the Superior Court, the county Superior Court's ruling on sovereign immunity. But they did away with the other two defenses, which was failure to state a claim and laches. So laches, for people who don't know what that is, just means that you as the petitioner waited too long to file a lawsuit, and therefore you are prejudicing the defense from being able to produce any kind of evidence that they could use to clear their names. But obviously, we filed our lawsuit based on the 2022 primaries, and the lawsuit was originally filed in August and September of 2022. So that obviously isn't waiting too long to file a lawsuit. It happened within a few months. So, but the Georgia Supreme Court did uphold sovereign immunity. The issue is that we were never suing the state. So there is no sovereign immunity because we were suing Brad Raffensperger and we were suing the people that comprise the county boards of elections. We weren't suing the state of Georgia. And in Georgia, historically, sovereign immunity is only upheld in order to protect the state purse, or in actuality to protect the taxpayers from having to pay out large sums of money that is ruled upon by, as far as damages are concerned. Well, we weren't suing for damages. We were just suing for an injunction to stop Raffensperger and the county boards of elections from being able to use the electronic voting systems. In my opinion, obviously, I don't have any verification of this, but in my opinion, I really think that, as well as, a lot of other judges across the country that are being strong-armed and threatened when it comes to election integrity, I do believe that our Georgia Supreme Court was strong-armed into coming up with some kind of defense that they could throw at the wall and see if it would stick. Because in Georgia, the Constitution itself waives sovereign immunity for officers or elected officials or employees of the state that negligently perform their ministerial duties or fail to perform their ministerial duties. And the Georgia Supreme Court has already determined that compliance with the election law is mandatory and considered ministerial duties. So the Georgia Supreme Court actually had until the end of May to get us a response, but they issued it on January the 7th. So, I mean, that was like super fast. They gave us a ruling super fast. They had up to 9 months to issue the ruling, so they had until the end of May. But they gave it to us in the beginning of January. So really, I think that the Georgia Supreme Court tried to help us as much as they could without burying themselves.
So according to the printed order, it was January 17th, which our audience will love the date.
Oh, okay. Sorry. January 17th, not the 7th,
no,
right.
But the way that I read it, they affirmed the lower court ruling because of the way that you pleaded the case and didn't explicitly state that you were suing the county, and because of paragraph 5 in whatever statute, that means the whole case has to be thrown out. Now, I don't know the Georgia laws, so I was just reading the court's order. What do you think about that?
Well, what I think about that is the Georgia Supreme Court has already determined in multiple case precedent, which I actually list out in the petition for writ to the U.S. Supreme Court, that it doesn't matter in Georgia whether you're suing them as an individual or an officer of the state. If they fail to perform the ministerial duties, then sovereign immunity is waived.
Wasn't that?
Oh, and also Georgia has determined that declaratory judgments and injunctions also don't survive the sovereign immunity defense.
Wasn't that one of the technicalities that they had originally gone after the Favorito case for, in that he wasn't naming the board members as the board members, but as individuals? I don't know. This has been a long time since I looked at that. That was
they attacked the voter GA cases based on standing, but that was overturned in the Sons of Confederate Veterans in October. The Sons of Confederate Veterans decision by the Georgia Supreme Court in October of 2022.
Right. But even before that, I thought he had to change they had to change the defendants in that case. I know, excuse me, I know there were some board members that cycled in and out over that time period. Ignore what I just said. I'm probably just getting something wrong. It's been so long since I looked at that. Kim, how's your sound?
So what are the specifics of the case before the Supreme Court?
Well, obviously the specifics are we're trying to get them to overturn the grant of sovereign immunity based on the fact that it's being misapplied. So that was, and we used the Georgia Supreme Court case precedent against them in order to argue our case. So that's first and foremost, is that we have to have them determine that the sovereign immunity was granted in error. But as far as the merits of the case are concerned, we're trying to get rid of all of the electronic voting system, including obviously the poll pads, because one, in Georgia, the Constitution requires that there are 2 separate referendum votes that occur to move from paper ballots to machine voting. One, asking the specific question whether or not we want to move to machines from paper ballots, and 2, a separate referendum vote where they have to show the people who are voting how much it's going to cost them in an increase in their debt or taxes in order to pay for that project. Well, neither one of those votes were ever held. These machines were just put in by an illegal fiat by the Secretary of State, which has also been overruled by the U.S. Supreme Court in West Virginia v. EPA. So in West Virginia v. EPA, the Supreme Court determined that no administrative agency of the executive branch has the authority to institute rules or regulations or guidelines that have a widespread political or economic effect. So we know that we can get that overturned based on our, rulings that the U.S. Supreme Court has already determined. Also, we are trying to go back to the states running their own elections, because our elections were effectively federalized by Jay Johnson under Obama on January 9th of 2017, where they determined that our election systems are critical infrastructure. So when they did that, they essentially federalized our elections, which is also unconstitutional, because Article 1 of the Constitution says that states are supposed to be able to run their own elections. So that obviously was taken away from us. We're trying to get that tossed out. And we can use the same West Virginia v. EPA precedent for that as well, because again, that was in the administrative agency of an executive branch that made that determination. Then for the machines themselves, the machines are connected to the internet.
Uh-oh. We lost her.
Oh no. Well, she's right. The machines are connected to the internet, and I just tweeted at Jenna Griswold about that right before the show.
We lost Lori.
My favorite. Here she comes. Her internet.
Are we back? Are we back?
Are we back?
I think we're
Yeah,
back.
we lost
Yeah.
you.
I was like, can you hear me? Are we back? Okay, there's everybody. So we have proof. We have proof in our evidence. We have emails between the Secretary of State's office and Eric, and the Secretary of State's office in CEIR, and the Secretary of State's office in Fulton County Board of Elections, and the Secretary of State's office in Fortalice, all of which, multiple emails between all of these entities proving that our entire election system is connected to the internet, not just the poll pads, the entire election system, and that our election system here in Georgia was remotely accessed. Absentee ballot processing laptops were remotely accessed, and entire batches of absentee ballots were deleted. So we provided all of that documentation.
What was that word again? That entire batches were what?
Deleted. Entire batches of absentee ballots were deleted. Yes. So we provided all of that as well. And obviously, if you go through the Dominion patent, all 14 configurations of the Dominion voting systems, every single one of them has a built-in network card, whether it's for Wi-Fi or Ethernet, every single one of them. And the law says that not that they can't just not be connected to the internet, they can't be able to connect to the internet. So if there's a network card built in to the systems, then they never should have even been able to be certified through either one of the accreditation vendors, Pro-V and VRSLI Gaming. And then obviously we also proved that neither one of them were lawfully accredited through the EAC as well. So we included that information in the lawsuit as well.
And of course, referring to, Pro-V and V's expiration for accreditation in 2017. Now, SLI's expired in
2018.
Was it 2018? I thought it was 2020.
It expired in 2018.
Okay, because I remember they used the excuse of COVID, which for some reason I was able to not justify, but the excuse for COVID for SLI held water. At least the Pro-V and V one did not, because there absolutely was not COVID in 2017. And then there's a whole slew of hiccups that Pro-V and V has had in Georgia from I've published articles about false documents that they sent in FOIA's, memos that were created on the fly, almost all that stuff.
Jerome Lovato tried to Jerome Lovato, who was an official with the EAC, tried to input a fake application into the system on behalf of Pro-V and V. It was all of that stuff is included too.
It blows my mind that we're still arguing over whether or not the machines can connect to the internet, because we've